Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one comment I had from last week. Can you not sound like you're suicidally bored when we do the intro? You're listening to Nick and Andrew.
Oh wow!
Oh,
This is my cue, I'm just waiting. Right, fine. I'll sound absolutely
pizzazz,
ecstatic here. Okay, fine.
Right. The following podcast contains strong language. Hello and welcome back to the Ciné Rambles podcast. You're listening to Nick
and Andrew.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
You're gonna have to leave the preamble, or I'm gonna sound like a complete freak.
Yeah, I'll do a little cold open. Yeah, and we're here with your weekly fix of film-related ramblings and reviews. So Andy, what have you been watching this week?
Oh, lots of things. So I've been watching Annihilation, and I watched Lawrence of Arabia today. Actually,
finally.
Yeah.
How many weeks has it been since we did 12 Angry Men?
Like 3.
Great.
Yep.
Right. Shall we get onto some correspondence then?
Sure.
So the main thing I've got from a couple of sources actually, is in relation to our Texas Chainsaw Massacre discussion from last time. Where you talked about how fake the props look, particularly the skeletons and stuff.
Yeah.
But I've been pointed out by at least 2 people that actually it's a lot cheaper to obtain real bones than make fake ones. So there probably are real ones actually in that scene.
Yeah. Well, look.
I just feel like you're a politician being grilled.
Well, I don't... Fine, like a couple of the things do look real, but when you walk in and all you see is fucking skeletons and like all spooky bone hands and all that bullshit, all I could think of was like, oh, someone's tried to make like a one of them rooms they lock you in, you gotta get yourself out.
An escape room.
An escape room, that's it. They just look like someone's made like a spooky escape room, and it's been like, oh, look at all the spooky things, and here it is. But the thing is, my point still stands. Like, it's so unbelievably famous that it's a caricature of itself. Like, it just looks... Everything is based on it, so it just looks goofy now, doesn't it?
So to clarify, your objection isn't to the specific quality of the props themselves?
Like, the props are fine, it's passable. Like, you see it and you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely a skull or a hand or bones or whatever. Like, I haven't got a problem with that. My problem is with the iconography itself.
I'm loving the image I've got in my head of you teaching an anatomy class at the university, being like, that is indeed a skull. Right. Have we got anything else to mention?
Well, some people liked our... They said they were fans of the fundamentals and of the education Andrew things.
Yeah, well, we've heard from these same people that actually the our discussions on like film theory and stuff, like things like the French New Wave from a couple of episodes back, are actually quite, sort of refreshing to have that kind of film theory laid out. So might try and incorporate some more of sort of maybe like an educational side to Ciné Rambles and try and like, talking through film theory.
Because I was worried about that, because especially when we were having those conversations, especially about Dogma 95, because that's quite
obscure, yeah.
Yeah, quite obscure. Like, I was worried that, we're both have film degrees. Like, I was worried that people who don't have that would be like, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
But apparently it's nice that people like being educated about it, which is good. So we can talk more about those kind of things.
Yeah, so in future I'll try and work on more of like a format where we can talk about those like specifically. I think, that'd be good. And if you at home have any other ideas, suggestions of what segments you'd like to see on the show, you can email us at cinerambles@gmail.com.
There it is.
There it is. And also you can
in.
send in reviews and questions and counter arguments and, blistering insults, whatever you want. The inbox is open.
Nick gobbles it up, so,
Oh, yeah. That's how I get to sleep at night, knowing I'm appreciated in the world. Right. before we get on to like our main things today, I've just got to quickly talk about a show that I've been watching the past couple of days. It's on BBC Two, I think, around dinner time. It's called Animal Park. So it's like a standard sort of documentary stuff about like, oh, what do zookeepers do at the zoos, looking after the animals and stuff.
Yeah.
Except for, this is probably the most sexual rendition of that format I have ever seen in my life. Like, I'm not even kidding. Every single segment is about, oh, these penguins aren't fucking. we've introduced some new hunky boys for all the females. Like,
I have seen what you're talking about, and I know exactly what you mean.
But like, to people who haven't seen it, you'll be like, oh no, it's probably not like that. It's probably quite frank. No, it isn't. It feels like a TV exec has been like, how can we get the standard, Joe Blogs to be interested in zoology? I don't know, sex cells. Make it so sexual. Like, there was the other day, they had an extended series of edits of tigers fucking with the Duff Man theme playing in the background. Like, you can't make this shit up.
Oh my god, why?
Like, there's so, if you have like a full frontal shot of some like male genitals in a film, that's almost certainly going to get you like a hard 18 from the BBFC. But extended shot of some tiger bollocks, nah, put that on in prime time, mate. BBC Two, that's fine.
That's so weird.
And like they had this penguin had like been cheating around with the women. These like need their words, and then was like left without a mate. So they showed it like standing on a rock and playing like some sad pop song and like desaturated the image. I was like, what are you doing?
I reckon it's the editor must be just making memes out of it.
Well, see, I thought that, but like this like sexual philosophy like permeates every single aspect of the show, and it's like there's got to be a producer doing this.
That's really weird.
It is. Oh man! And then also my last thing before I move on, I just wanted to tell someone about this because this is like the highlight of my week so far. But they were like, oh yeah, we need to prove that these wolves are fucking, so we're gonna film them from a long distance on this telephoto lens. And it's like, oh, we gotta get in close and make sure we get the money shot. Like, what?
My god, why?
Oh,
wow.
But that's Animal Park.
That's weird.
Oh.
All that aside, though, that show is actually quite interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean it is fascinating, but it's so weird.
I found out from that show, right, that otters are they counted as Class A predators.
Oh, I've no understanding of the class system of predators. No,
is
A near the top?
System. Yeah, A is the top. I'm guessing.
Yeah. So that class system permeates even the animal kingdom,
Wow. Okay. Right,
anyway,
move on?
Yeah. Let's move on. So, it's Andrew's film education.
Yay!
Do. We do need jingles, actually, don't we?
We do need jingles.
So
maybe that could be the jingle. Do. We do need jingles, actually.
Yeah. I'll get right on it. Before we get into this week's Andrew's film education, I've got a little follow up from last time we did this.
It's actually 4 weeks ago.
4 weeks ago. There we go. A whole month has passed.
Yep.
But yeah, because during 12 Angry Men, you said that was the best courtroom drama you've ever heard. Seen.
Yeah.
But just I've got the list open just while I ask this. Have you seen To Kill a Mockingbird?
I've seen the play.
Okay.
I've not seen the thing.
Okay, that's going down. Also, have you seen A Few Good Men?
I have seen the courtroom scene from that, but I have not seen the whole film, no.
Okay. I'm not saying those are better than... In fact, 12 Angry Men is probably better than, but it just got me thinking courtroom dramas. There's some really banging courtroom drama films out there.
Yeah.
So add those to the list. Yeah, so this week's film is Andrew of Arabia.
Oh, fucking hell.
I genuinely had to think which way around I was going to do that then.
Oh my god.
Just thought I could surprise you, but I don't know. I can do both and splice into one I like.
Yeah, here we go. Go for it.
It's Lawrence Andrew Arabia.
I mean, that's by far the worst one.
So the best one?
I mean, I guess.
But yeah, so Andy has watched the 1962 David Lean epic, Lawrence of Arabia.
Certainly epic.
It is certainly epic. So for those who don't know, this is the story of T.E. Lawrence, who was a British general in the First World War. He was stationed in Cairo and sent into the...
Actually, he wasn't a general.
I don't know. I don't know military rankings.
He was a lieutenant.
Lieutenant, sure.
And then he was a major. And then he was a colonel.
Colonel, that was it.
I did actually look up, like, British military hierarchy, so I knew, like, whereabouts those standings are.
Right, I know colonel's one of the higher ones, isn't it?
Yeah, so general is like, the highest.
Okay.
And then it's, all of the ones underneath that.
You also have to understand, Andy, I watched this in preparation for the podcast about a month ago now. So I'm now... I might as well have just rewatched it yesterday.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so they go across into the Arabian... he goes across into the Arabian desert to sort of deal with the Turkish uprising problems over there. And, he becomes this great sort of military icon as he sort of helps them take back their land.
Yeah.
So...
And he has this sort of... Yeah, so, well, it's close to 4 hours long.
Yep, there's 3 3/4 to be precise, I think, yeah.
But with a 10-minute intermission or whatever. It is good. It is surprisingly engaging.
Yes.
Throughout. Like, I was never bored. Like, I never, like, checked my phone throughout or whatever. I was just watching the film. Like, does keep you engaged, which was...
Andy, I know that's like, so you got on your phone and bitched to me about your sound setup.
Well, yeah, that was once.
Did you fix that in the end?
No, I just dealt with it.
Oh. Well, it's because it's probably, other than a side, it's probably because if it was set to like 5.1, and if you've got like just a stereo or mono setup, it'll pan the wrong channels. But,
yeah, it really did. It was very annoying.
Anyway,
so, I mean, my initial reaction is that it feels really anticlimactic.
Yeah.
So, spoilers, obviously, but so the whole thing is like leading up to the Arab uprising against the Ottomans and taking Damascus, which is like a really important Ottoman-held city, and it's like, if they can take that, they can beat the Ottomans and win the war or whatever. And you have this whole scene with like the British army, like, okay, we'll march on these fronts and these fronts, and then Lawrence is going around the side with his Arab army, right?
Yeah, and trying to beat the British to it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit, okay, here we go. This is going to be a great war scene. It's going to be like really cool. We're going to have all of the, this big fight over Damascus. And then the next scene, like the Brits show up to Damascus and it's like, lol, yeah, we're already here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
It feels like the budget ran out, didn't it?
Yeah, it really does. Like, because they just had this really like pivotal scene of the Arab army led by Lawrence, like, murdering all of this Ottoman supply line. And I was like, oh shit, this is just the beginning. We're going to see him, like, slaughter a load of Ottomans and you see his, like, downfall or whatever. No. It was just like, yep, we've taken Damascus 2 days early. And I was like, okay, you're not going to show us that clearly important event.
And then not only did, like, they seize it off screen, and then, like, about 10 minutes later, like, oh yeah, we can't actually hold it, so we'll just leave.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, so I mean,
it sort of lost me towards the end. But some of the beginning, like the first half is definitely, or at least the first half before the intermission.
Yeah,
so
the
first
2
2
hours
hours of the film are really, really good.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like the first chunk of the film, I think is like fantastic. Like genuinely, like one of the best sort of like.
I honestly thought it was. If I didn't know that it was 4 hours long or close to 4 hours long, I genuinely thought it was going to end where the intermission was.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like a complete film there, doesn't it? Because the Aqaba sort of takeover seems like it's its own climax, really.
Yeah,
but I think that's
It's another city, isn't it? No, it's a military outpost or something.
Well, yeah, but the great thing about it is because they've already established, like, Akabara is like this. It's impossible to take because it's like got such a great, naval defense. The only way to take it by land, but through this impassable desert. So like, fuck it, we'll just go through the desert. And it's like, oh, well, that's the overcoming the odds.
Yeah,
that's
and I
ending.
thought like that was an amazing part, like, and that's like a really good climax because they obviously still had some budget then because you at least see the cavalry charge.
Yeah.
On that, and it was like that bit was really really good.
Yeah, and on that note, the general just scale of the film is amazing. Like, a lot of people say like they don't make it like they used to anymore, which is a phrase I have many problems with. But with Lawrence of Arabia, it's at least somewhat true because like just the sheer scale and size of those sets and the like number of extras and horses and stuff.
Yeah,
like it's genuinely epic.
A modern problem.
I know where this is going.
Can't not bring up is Alec Guinness in blackface.
Yeah.
Which is very problematic because they went, they obviously weren't against hiring Arab actors because
like Omar Sharif is.
Yeah, exactly. He's in it. Almost all of the extras are also Arabic. It's like, why not just hire one to play the prince? Like that's obviously not an impossibility, but no, they just blacked up Alec Guinness instead.
The only thing I can think of is it must have been maybe star power related. But I mean, Peter O'Toole isn't like not a star, at least back then. Although this is his most famous film role, but like he done other stuff, so I don't know if like they need Alec Guinness as well. Or...
I will say the casting of him is amazing because he looks so similar to actual T.E. Lawrence. Like,
oh really?
It's shocking like how much he looks like him.
I think also his performance in general, like, because obviously the whole film is clearly about him and his complete change of character from this sort of quite sort of slightly bizarre sort of, but also like won't kill kind of like pacifist guy into like this complete like a kernel of this entire Arabian revolt.
Yeah,
like that is sort of the key point of the film. I think that is also portrayed so well.
I think you're right. Like they were running out of budget towards the end of the film because they have this whole bit, like another bit that I thought was going to be a big climactic fight, just wasn't. When I think I believe it's I don't know if it is at Damascus or whatever, but he's like, I'm going to single-handedly walk in there and start the Arab revolt. And then he gets caught by the general and whipped a bit, and then and then chucked in the sewer. That bit, which is really strange.
The second half of the film is definitely like weaker. Like if I was to do, I haven't been doing rating much on the podcast. If I was to rate Lawrence of Arabia, like first part is a 9, the second half is like a 7, bordering on 6.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. I agree.
Because it feels like its second part starts off well. Like I like the all the stuff like the train raids is like a really good like couple of sequences, and like we see
the train raids are good.
Yeah, because the great thing is with the intermission and that gap actually helps save the story because it takes that opportunity to jump forward in time a bit, and we see this change in his character, and the change between those two enough communicates all this like without telling us. It's just like look how much he's changed in like a few weeks or whatever. I thought that was a really cool way to do it. But yeah, I think certainly have to go to whatever place that is. It starts to go downhill.
Considering, so another like small like, there's a lot of bits I like about it. Like the first half is really really good, and you see his character grow a lot in that. But again, almost all of my complaints is to do with the second half of the film, which is
same.
So something I really liked in the second part was how when he gets shot in the arm.
Yeah.
And then the guy who shot him in the arm is there with like pointing the gun at his head, like shooting and missing, and he just doesn't even flinch. Like it's amazing.
And he just watches the other guy come over and kill him.
Yeah, and then the reporter's like, "Oh, aren't you in pain?" Or the other colonel's like, "Oh, aren't you in pain?" or whatever. And he's like, "No, I can't feel any pain because they say only a golden bullet can kill me."
Yeah,
and he's just like, that's when he's starting to believe what everyone thinks of him.
Yeah. It's when his Messiah complex is properly set in. We get that when he stands on the train with this like silhouette, the billowing white robes. It's like, it's a really great imagery in that film.
Yeah, there is some amazing, like the cinematography in that film was just so good. Considering its length, like you get his rise to the, this Messiah-like figure, and then you get him starting to believe it. but then you jump straight from that to him being like this ruthless executioner, and then jump straight from that to him being like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go home now.
Yeah, that's the main problem with like part two is its arc then sort of just goes all over the place because he's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Lawrence of Arabia, bitches, I'm gonna do it. And then he like has that one run in thingy, whatever that place is called.
Yeah,
and Ben is
remember.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like immediately like, nope, I'm going home. This is not worked out. It's like, okay, fine, you had a quite traumatic experience there. But then about a scene later, he's like, actually, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna lead the army. It's like, well, what was that about then?
Yeah, there's some, obviously, despite Alec Guinness in blackface, it's surprisingly good on racial,
Yeah.
relations. Like considering its time and considering it's got blackface in it,
Yeah, like for the most part, the rest of the characters of that race are like much, really well rounded and sort of like,
Yeah.
there's no other real stereotypes really.
Yeah, like, but also they're not just painted as evil. Like at the beginning, he's like, "Oh, you're barbaric and you're evil, and you're thieves and everything." And then obviously he then falls in love with the country and then doesn't think that of those people, and that's a learning process, isn't it?
Yeah,
And also he really hates that the rest of the white British officers are being racist to the people.
yeah, like there's that great sequence right at the end of the part one where he brings the boy back to the Cairo, I don't know, military office or whatever.
Yeah.
And like just everyone is there is being like like it's probably the only part in the film where there's like racial slurs in it as well.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's being so racist. And it's like, no, he deserves to be here.
Yeah.
Get him some water. I say so, or lemonade even, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lemonade. So I feel like another thing, some of the deaths, I don't know, like they weren't as impactful as I feel like they should have been.
Right.
So, he gets those two servant boys
Yeah.
who he then looks after because, they are orphans and he sort of is a father figure to them. And then one of them falls in quicksand and dies and he just moves on immediately.
Well, yeah, but he's kind of got to, hasn't he? Like his sort of.
Well, yeah, like I understand the reasoning behind it, but it's sort of like, and then the other boy dies and he's just like, okay, moving on.
Well, say with the
he
first
cries
one
for a
though,
little bit and it's like, meh.
Well, because with the first one, like, there's that bit where he's just like completely dead silent for the next like 15 minutes, and like he just has this like weathered look on his face. So I feel like there's definitely just like trauma involved there.
Yeah.
Can't remember what happens when the second one dies.
But yeah, it's good. It's good. It's worth a watch if you can stomach the very long runtime.
Yeah, I mean, like, so yeah, this is the third time I watched it. The first time I watched it, like, I think I was like maybe 13. Yeah, like I fell asleep and I was like, this is really boring. But like second time I saw it in a cinema and that was fantastic. And this time, like, I just didn't really feel the length at all. But then I watched the first part in the afternoon and watched the second part in the evening. I had like a 3-hour gap, which I think does help with these kind of films. But yeah, so do you still think this should be? It's worthy of being considered a classic?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because the racial problems aside, like, I feel like this is a really good telling of a story that I could see, I don't know, maybe not being released today, but, something similar. Like, it's very, very well made.
Well, yeah, like there's also like the whole Arabian conflict is sort of overshadowed when we talk about World War One because it's all about like the European stuff. And I think without this film,
yeah,
we barely know anything about like in like popular media about the Arabian uprising and stuff.
Yeah, because I didn't know anything about this, and it's a really interesting side of history that we don't know about.
And you took history at A-level, so,
Yeah, exactly. But, they didn't teach you about this stuff. They, like...
Exactly.
Just that.
Which is what's so great about cinema. It's learning stuff you'd never learn in school. Yeah. Everything I learned from the movies. Which was... Who did say that, actually? I want to say Marilyn Monroe, but I'm not actually sure. If you know who said that, email us in it. For which time we'll have looked it up.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's Andrew's film education for this week. Next week, or will it be next week, or will it be in 4 months' time? Or 4 weeks' time?
4 months' time. I will have watched something.
Yeah. We'll be watching Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favourite films.
Because I also have, a part of why I mentioned that is because I have Apocalypse Now. I also have Hearts of Darkness.
Oh yes,
or Heart of Darkness, whatever it is. Because I want to watch. Well, obviously I want to watch Apocalypse Now, but apparently that documentary is supposed to be really, really, really good.
Yeah, it is considered one of the best
well.
like behind the scenes of a film kind of documentaries of all time. Because I mean, Apocalypse Now is really fascinating in terms of what happened behind the scenes. Like it is a miracle that film got made at all, really. And you'll see more about them in the documentary, but just how much shit went wrong with that film.
Yeah. Is it Francis Ford Coppola?
It is.
Yeah.
It's the one film of his that I actually really love. Well, I do need to rewatch Godfather, but yeah, I think you'll like it.
Okay.
Also, which I think do the theatrical cut rather than Redux.
Okay.
But I'll discuss the differences when we do it. But yeah, I'd say do theatrical cut for now. And if you have any reviews or thoughts on Apocalypse Now you'd like to tell us for us to discuss on that segment, you can email us at cinerambles@gmail.com.
Fucking hell. It's in again.
Righty ho. On to Andrew's horror education.
Oh my god.
It's an education heavy episode this week.
Yeah. That's got to have a better name.
Well,
are we calling it Annihilation?
Andrewlation?
That sounds like a sexual act.
Annihilation. I don't know. I don't think I can make that one work.
I do feel like we could wedge these words together.
No. Andrew's Annihilation.
Sure.
That sounds pretty sexual as well.
Fucking awful.
Yeah, so this week Andy's also watched Annihilation, if you couldn't tell from that tortured opening. This is why we need jingles.
Yeah. We need jingles and better names for things.
If you have any good better names for our segment.
Oh, for fuck's sake, no.
So Annihilation, which is one of my favourite films of the last couple of years. For those who haven't seen, this is Alex Garland's second directorial film, which is about there's this strange sort of field called the Shimmer, as in it's sort of this area of land in the US that's been taken over by this strange sort of physical phenomena, and every sort of group that goes in doesn't really return. If they do, they sort of don't last very long, and no one knows what's really going on in there. And so this team is sent in. I think in the book it's the 12th expedition. I can't remember if they state in the film actually, but they send in this group to see what's going on, and things are pretty fucky.
So you've read the book, have you?
I have read the book, yeah. Well, I started because my for a bit of context, my screenplay that I wrote at uni was based heavily on Annihilation to some degree, so I did read the book in preparation.
So, I mean, we could do a fundamental as well if there is much of a difference.
There's definitely. I'm not sure if it's fundamental as such. Like, it's not like it's one small change or anything. I mean, to be honest, basically, the film is, I would say, mainly loosely adapted. Like, obviously, the general concept and the characters and the setting are all the same, and the lighthouse is in it. But otherwise, like, the plots of it are completely and utterly different.
Okay.
So, but I mean, depending how far you can stretch the definition of fundamentals, I can talk about it.
Well, okay. Well, let's talk about the film. It's got Natalie Portman is the main lady.
Yeah.
Called Lena. She's a biologist.
She is a biologist, yep.
And her husband is a soldier, played by Jason? What's his name?
Jason Isaacs?
Yes.
No, wait. Who is it? I do know him.
Oscar
Isaac. That was it. I knew it was an Isaac.
Where I got Jason from.
Well, there is a Jason Isaac, but it's not. It's like I know it's an Isaac because it's Oscar Isaac, who's also in Ex Machina, which is the other one of the other Alex Garland films. Which have you seen?
Nope.
You've got to watch Ex Machina. It's great.
Okay.
Back to Annihilation.
He went into the. Obviously, it was really secret, and he was missing for 12 months, presumed dead, MIA, as they say. Or KIA?
Well, I mean, I suppose
Whatever.
MIA, if I don't know he's been killed for sure, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works.
And Natalie Portman's obviously very sad, and she's mourning him, and she doesn't have any friends, and she works at university and whatever. And then he turns up at her, just inside the house.
Yeah.
And when she's asking him these questions, he hasn't got any idea. Like,
yeah, he has no memory really of what happened, or like
she's
barely
like,
who he is.
Where were you stationed? What did you do? How long were you there for? Blah blah blah. He's always like, oh, I don't know. And then he has like starts bleeding everywhere and has like organ failure. And
it's just that great shot where he just takes the drink of water and puts it down. And you see that tiny drop of blood just spread inside. He just goes, I don't feel right. And it's like, I love that scene.
Cut to the ambulance. And then, the ambulance gets pulled over by like 3 helicopters and like a convoy of black SUVs, and a load of armed soldiers get out, and then they take them to a facility which is right next to the Shimmer and all that, and that we go from there. So they're putting together a team of scientists who all happen to be female, which I don't think is significant at all.
I can't remember if I'm making this up or not, but I think in the book, because it's like, we've only sent men in so far and they don't return, let's try women, I think is the idea behind it.
Okay. Because there was like they hinted sort of vaguely at that, but other than that...
I think it's something like that.
Right.
But basically, because they have... Everyone they send in, they literally just get no information back. So like, well, I don't know, we'll just try changing it. We'll try and work out what it is.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I think that's certainly in the book, I think that's what they say.
But basically, the Shimmer is growing, and they have no idea what's causing it or how to stop it, and they can't do anything about it. They can't look into it because everything gets destroyed. No one's ever come out. Or, if they have, they get all fucked up and can't remember anything. ? Spooky, whatever. So they send them in. Natalie Portman's like, well, I'm going in because I've got to find out what happened.
Yeah.
It's like, I need to know. And they go in, and everything's a bit fucky, as Nick said.
Yeah. I mean, I could elaborate further, but I think Annihilation's is so much more powerful. Just watch and see for yourself.
Yeah.
To describe it just partially won't do it justice, and partially will just sort of spoil some of the just the fantastic imagery and atmosphere in that film.
There is some amazing imagery. There is some incredible imagery, actually.
Yeah.
Like, what I do love, and you did say I would love this before this reason, is that it's so Lovecraftian.
Absolutely. Like I said, apparently it was at least somewhat inspired by Colour Out of Space.
Yeah.
Having read that, I can now see that.
100%. Yeah, 100% see that.
Especially the slight purple tint to like the Shimmer as well. Like how the Colour Out of Space is just purple, which I still love.
I do... Yeah, I can see the very, very strong Lovecraftian themes throughout. But there is one scene in particular where it is just so good.
Yeah.
I don't know, can we spoil it? This is a spoiler-free review, I guess.
Well, I mean, don't stop Lawrence Arabia being spoiler-tastic. But
that's true.
See,
but then this whole episode is going to be spoiler-full.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because to talk about Annihilation in any like real detail and appreciate it, we do probably have to spoil it.
Well,
so okay,
here we go then.
If anyone here hasn't seen Annihilation, just stop now. Go have a listen. Go have a watch of Annihilation. It's fantastic. And then come back and we'll discuss some more spoilery things. So there's your warning right now on YouTube and Spotify. Go to YouTube and copy the time codes. I don't know. We need a better system. I don't know. Anyway, right.
Right. Anyway, moving on. So the scene with the bear,
yes,
is my favourite bit so far. Like, my God, so good. But also the bit in the swimming, like where the swimming pool where they find the footage. That bit is also really, really good.
Yeah.
Some of the imagery in the whole film is just amazing.
Yeah, what I like about it, as I was saying to you earlier, was that it's probably one of the best on-screen like sort of depictions of like the undescribable rendered visually.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big thing about Lovecraft is like, besides like Cthulhu, which he describes quite a lot, like most of his creatures are like, I can't describe it because I'd go insane to do it. Like, it's sort of beyond human comprehension, description, and geometry. And Annihilation sort of somehow managed to achieve that kind of design Like in particular the first film, The Alien at the end, which I can really only describe as like a sort of a pulsing ball of light. But that doesn't even do it remotely justice for just how bizarre and formless it looks.
But it's so perfect as well, like perfect in the way that like describing the undescribable, because it's so hard to then describe then, isn't it? Like how do you describe that? It's like this ball of light that's writhing and rippling with these weird shapes and colours, and it just looks it's such an amazing depiction of an alien, because you know in every other thing aliens have physical form, and they they're bipedal,
or in some way like they look sort of human shaped, because that's sort of what we expect them to look like.
Whereas in this, it's just this fourth dimensional, indescribable thing that is amazing. I think it was just such a you're right. Like that's such a good depiction of it.
But then the great thing is it then becomes humanoid, but it's strange because it's completely expressionless. It's devoid of detail even. There's like this perfect like sort of copy of like the human form, and all it does is just simply mimic Lena's actions. And like it's it's we don't even know if the alien's benign or if it's got any intent at all. But as far as I can tell, it's just curious. It's just sort of trying to understand its environment just by copying what it sees. And I love that simple innocence somehow makes it even more terrifying, the way it sort of appears
it's so
and
menacing,
moves.
Isn't it?
Yeah. But I think it's the fact because it's unknowable, because there's no expression. It's basically uncanny valley, I guess, because it looks human, but with no way to tell what it's thinking or what it's feeling, and it just feels intensely uncomfortable. Plus, the score helps. I really love the score.
The score is very, very good. So this movie is really was very poorly received.
Yeah,
and I think there was some problems with the cinema release as well, wasn't there?
Yeah. So the story is basically they completed saying like the first cut or one of the like last cuts of the film, a cut of it, and Fox, who I think it was Fox, either Fox or Paramount who distributed it. I need to double check that though. Basically, the producer looked at it and was like, "This is too weird. Mainstream audiences aren't going to like it. It's not going to do well at cinemas. We don't want to distribute it anymore in cinemas." So then Netflix sort of, they were like, "We will distribute it if you basically change and make it less weird and more mainstream and acceptable." And Alex Garland and his producer were like, "No, this is the film we want to tell," which I respect so much. I love you, Alex Garland. Please marry me. But yeah, so having done that, basically they lost most of the distribution rights in the US for theatres. So Netflix came in and was like, "We'll distribute internationally and we'll try and get you some theatre run." So it had like a very limited theatrical run in America, and over here was all digital, all Netflix.
Yeah, okay. It's weird that, just complete aside here, it's weird that how important they think running a movie in America is for some reason, even though it's such a tiny margin of their profits. It's like distribution and rights in America is really important when it's actually just not that important, considering
it's just a small percentage of your earnings. Because there's a thing we talked about at uni a lot, it's called like the long tail, which is like it's if you basically plot the financial I guess achievement of a film on a graph, there's like this spike of it where it gets like its initial box office run and then it sort of trails off. And the idea is nowadays with streaming and home media is to not worry too much about the box office initially, but to make sure it's got a longevity and people, and that's how it makes more money in the long run. Yeah. And I think that's increasing a much more important thing. Like I think it's increasingly the initial cinema run isn't that important as long as the film's got the longevity to withstand the test of time and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think Annihilation encapsulates quite well. Like, oh yeah, maybe audiences won't get it in the theatre or whatever, but like by holding on to its integrity as well as what it's trying to do and holding that uniqueness, it will guarantee people will come back to it for years because there's like nothing else like it.
Yeah, that is true. It's really it is good.
Yeah, it's definitely it's not perfect. Like
no.
Well, it's interesting because I've tried to reconcile this on a couple. I've watched it I think at least twice now, maybe 3 times actually. But like the first couple of times I watched it, I was sort of like it felt sort of emotionally distant and cold, and I felt it kind of like difficult to get really into like the characters and stuff. But on reflection, I felt that's part of it. Like it's so sort of hostile in like, every part of its atmosphere, and I feel like that's part of its sort of its feel to be that kind of like like emotionally cold. I don't know. What do you think?
I think actually now you mention that you've got a point there, like, because I didn't love any of the characters. Like Lena's
No.
okay, like she's a serviceable main character, but you don't love her. You know, when she's in mortal peril, I'm like, I hope she gets out of it, but if she doesn't, you know, whatever. But it's the same like the rest of her team. So there's what, 5 of them?
4.
4?
Yeah.
No, there's 5.
No?
Yeah, there's 5, Nick.
Oh, there's 4 in the book.
Well, there's 5 in the film.
Wait, name them.
So,
you call yourself a fan of Annihilation? Name one of the characters.
Because there's Tessa Thompson, she's in it.
Yeah.
Ventress.
Oh no, there is 5. Yeah, sorry, don't worry.
Yeah.
I just
Gina
remember the
Rodriguez and Shepard, and then Natalie Portman. That's 5. I like how I named a couple of characters and then some actresses.
Well, but that's the point, isn't it? What were the characters' names? Unlike, say, an Alien.
I remember Lena, Ventress, and Shepard.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Like an Alien, you know, got Dallas, Brett, Ripley, Parker, Lambert, Kane, Ash. That's all. Yeah, that's all 7. You know, and like, you know, Alien, which is always like the go-to example for like horror and characterization. You know, we know all those characters, we care for them, they feel convincing, and we want to, like, we care for them emotionally. But I think there is a coldness in Annihilation where you don't get that same. You don't get feel for the characters on that same level there. So that like, have you seen anything by Nicholas Winding Refn? Like, you haven't seen Drive yet, have you?
No.
No. Okay. Because going to compare it, there's like Alex Garland, and he did this a bit in Devs recently as well. Although I don't know, but basically there's this thing with like their characters are quite sort of, there's something cold about the way they deliver dialogue and the way they act. There's something almost like, not robotic as such, but there's definitely sort of lacking some kind of warmth. And I think it must be stylistic, because I see a lot of it happening. And with Annihilation, it kind of works because it's got that sort of, again, like that hostile atmosphere to it. I sort of...
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, her team, like Lena's team, like, so the 5 characters, there's no one... If we compare this to Alien, then there's no one who's really lovable, and there's no one who you hate, you know? Even Gina Rodriguez, who goes crazy and sort of stabs them in the back. Even she, I didn't hate her. I was like, you know, that's just some good character development.
Yeah.
You never hate any of the characters. Even Ventress, who is always really cold and annoying and like heartless. You know, you don't hate her either. Again, it's just character. Whereas, you know, in Alien, like you love the 2 maintenance guys because they're funny and they're like, you know, cool, and you hate fucking Bilbo Baggins because he's a knobhead.
What? Bilbo?
Bilbo. Who? Bilbo Baggins.
What are you on about?
Bilbo Baggins is in the film. Is
in Alien?
Yes.
What?
I can't remember his name. The guy. Ash is Ian Holm, and Ian Holm plays Bilbo Baggins.
Martin Fried. Well, wait, in which version? Oh, wait, you mean
Lord of the Rings? You did.
Oh, is that Ian Holm? I never knew that.
That is Ian Holm. It's Bilbo Baggins.
Well, sorry. When you say Bilbo Baggins, I'm thinking of Martin Freeman. Why?
No.
Oh, what an aggressive way to learn some trivia. Andy, you screaming at me, Bilbo Baggins from Alien, is not helpful. None of them are called Bilbo.
Bilbo Baggins is in Alien.
I literally named the characters like 5 minutes ago.
But you didn't mention Bilbo Baggins, so you lost me.
Sorry, I'll recount it. It's Brett, Parker, Dallas, Ripley, Kane, Bilbo Baggins, and Lambert.
Anyway, back to my point.
Yeah.
But you like, you like Ripley, you like Dallas because he's like the cool captain. You don't like Ash because he's like, oh, you know, the corporate nerd who's being a dickhead about everything.
Yeah, and he's all very cold and sort of, you know.
And Lambert's really annoying because all she does is scream.
Yeah, and slap Ripley.
Yeah. Whereas in Annihilation, they don't fall into those sort of things. One of them isn't the funny one, and one of them isn't like the annoying one or the sassy one, and you don't hate one of them. Normally in these things is a team member who you hate, who is supposed to be an antagonist.
Yeah, which is
Gina
sort of
Rodriguez,
venturous, or at least in the book it's supposed to be venturous. In the film, like you're right, it's just not really. None of them are developed enough to really develop that kind of, like that distinct characterization or that kind of appeal.
Yeah,
they're all almost interchangeable.
It's sort of given to Gina Rodriguez a bit, but it's never really.
Like a lot of it seems
beyond that.
Their antagonism seems almost like it's situational rather than characterized. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
They're just reacting to the situation rather than being like, as this character, I'm reacting like this. It's just more. It's all the more almost sympathetic the way they react. I guess. I don't know. I know what I mean. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, situational. That just makes sense. Yeah. But there is all of the set design is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Like having the flowers, all these different species of flowers coming from one stem is like really cool. Having the humans, flowers, the people made out of flowers.
Yeah,
trees
really cool.
Grown into look like people. Like just the plant-based imagery looks amazing.
And I love the in the lighthouse as well. The sort of the weird cavern. I love the weird because it's not like tentacles as such, but it's all these weird. It
looks more like roots, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess it must be like roots and stuff. Yeah,
it made me think of like tree roots more than tentacles.
That's another thing. Quickly, because this is like a lot of this film, the horrors, like the imagery and stuff that's sort of happened before. It's like the idea of like we're late to the party and got to figure out what's happened. So we see these like the evidence of previous expeditions, which I think is one of the best images in it. Like there's the in the lighthouse, the it is Oscar Isaac, isn't it? Who?
Yes.
Yeah.
Remembering it. Been over this.
yeah. But I was trying to remember if it was him or something. Yeah, it's been a while since I saw it. But because there's the outline of his burnt body on the wall and the ashes near it. And I love just that image. We then see the camcorder, which tells and it shows us what happened, which adds to it. But like also just seeing that image is enough to be like, shit, what happened here?
Yeah.
And also the
But in the swimming pool, they've got like the cut open body that's and his plants have like sprung. Yeah, like that looks amazing.
I just love the design on it. It reminds me of something like from The Thing, just the way this complete deformation of the human form. Like I'm a sucker for body horror, and this film like really ticks that box. Just the things they do to a human in that.
Yeah. There was some really, really cool stuff in there. I can see why people don't like it because it is hard to not hard to engage with, but it's hard to feel emotionally engaged with.
Yeah, and I think
because
also
all the characters are so, I don't know, unfeeling, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be sound snooty to say, but like I feel like most in a way Fox or Paramount, whoever it was sort of right in that I think if you've not watched much weird sci-fi and horror, this will probably be like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm not sure how well this would do with like the mainstream. But I love this because I'm into like things like Akira and like Midsummer, like the weirder side of like sci-fi and horror, and like, again like body horror and stuff. So I don't know.
But the reason I really like it is because it's Lovecraftian in a modern setting.
Yeah,
which I think is quite hard to do. Like the reason Lovecraft is hard to do on film or set in the modern day at least is because we record everything right now.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be like you have to rely on one person's account of this as story, and then you don't know if they're a reliable narrator or not because they could be fucking mental. Whereas, setting it in the modern day is hard to believe, that's harder to see because you've got recordings everywhere and stuff. But the way they do that, obviously, is it's the shimmer, no one can see in, no one can come out. And you see these people going mad, but also they aren't reliable narrators either because they keep losing their memory. They keep, you don't know if they are sane or not. And it's just done really well. It's done in a way that's very Lovecraftian modern age, and I like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned the whole unreliable narrator thing, because in the book is from the perspective, basically they have to keep journals of what they find in the shimmer, and the book is framed as Lena's journal. Okay. And it starts in medias res. We don't know any of the background context. He just wakes up in the shimmer, and it's like, I don't know how long I've been here. I don't know where we are. What's going on? I mean, it's like, and if it gets over all that in the book, you like it again. There's a strong sense of unreliable narrator because it's literally just like we only have her word for what's going on, and some dodgy things happen in the book. So but like that's what you're saying about Lovecraftian things and being like from like one character's account. That's quite You probably quite like the book then, I'd say.
Yeah, I am. Having now seen the film, I do want to read the book.
Yeah. I guess to close this out then, I'll do a quick comparison of the book, like a mini fundamentals. Okay. But like, so in the book, the main thing is about there's this so the lighthouse is there as well, but it sort of comes later and it's not as important. And the alien doesn't really get involved, certainly not in the same way. But there's this thing called some people call it the tower, some people call it the tunnel, and there's this big thing about them arguing over what it should be called. It's like a vertical tower that goes into the ground for seemingly an infinite distance down. It reminds me of 87B actually, SCP. But like, But yeah, and so they spend like certainly a good half of the book exploring this tower, just going, trying to see how far down they can go. And there's like all this weird like, there's this plant life that forms writing on the walls, and it's like this endless poem, and like that seems to make no sense, but it sounds so ominous. And then at the bottom there's some kind of monster which they never see, and and they only see the aftermath of it attacking one of the victims and stuff. But yeah, and then so the bear's not in it, for example, either. There's a scene.
So we should talk about that because we didn't mention that.
The bear. Did we not mention the bear?
We sort of briefly mentioned it.
Oh shit! The bear's like the best scene.
Yeah, genuinely is the best scene. Yeah. Let's talk about the bear quickly.
Let's talk about the bear. Yeah. So.
The bear.
So while they're in the swimming pool place, I feel like it's not actually a swimming pool, is it?
No, it's a fort. It's a fort.
It's a fort. It happens to have a swimming pool. Yeah. Yeah. But so while they're there,
is it a fort or like an army base or something?
It's some kind of outpost, certainly. But so at night they're doing their sort of patrols, and there's this great shot because they're like looking through the the binoculars, like night vision, and they hear one of the people scream. And they just look over and they see, for like a few frames, you see this large bear-like thing take her into the foliage. Yeah. And it's so, like, you can barely even see it. Like, it's just like a flash kind of thing. And that's great. And it's just like, she's gone. And we hear nothing of this bear. We know nothing about, they try and find her. They find like a pack, I think. But she's long gone.
No, they do find her corpse.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry, it's been a while since I saw it.
They find her body and she's like had her throat ripped out and is completely gored and it's gross.
The great thing is this thing takes her. We barely get a good look at it and it's gone and we'd have no idea what it was or where it went or where it came from, kind of thing. And then later on, it's certainly a good like half hour later, I think. And they're like, Thingy's gone mad. Rodriguez. I really don't know. This is pretty much why I don't remember the names.
Gina Rodriguez. Yeah.
She's gone mad, and she's got like the other three left tied up, and she's like trying to be like, she thinks one of them's a traitor and stuff like that, and that's what one of them's picking them all off, kind of thing. And then we just hear the character who went missing. You just hear her screaming for help outside, and everything just goes silent, and I love it because there's this great kind of sense of dread. But because we've seen the corpse. We know she's dead. How could she be screaming? But as the same way, the character, because she has this moment of like, she's alive. She must be alive, and runs out. And meanwhile, we're sitting here being like, but she's dead. That can't be her. What's making that noise? And then we hear the scream.
Yeah.
And then we just hear this.
And then the bear comes in. Oh my god!
So this bear has been like, it's been mutated with Thingy. Whoever went missing, but basically a human. So it's got human features. Shepherd. It's got like human features like melted into its head. It's got this one like human eye that sort of like looks around. It's got like its skull is protruding.
Its skull is coming out of its face. Like it looks just so good. And like the imagery of that is so horrific. Like it looks so good. Like and half its jaw is like hanging off, and it's oh my god.
But the best bit is the sound design. Because every time this bear makes any kind of noise or roar, it's a human vocalization, but it's also presumably the last like human vocalization it heard, which is like help someone help me God kind of thing. So just have this bear like plodding around these like three terrified characters, like occasionally make these like horrified, distorted human screams of help, and it's such good horror.
And it's so good,
and it's so tense as well. It's quite a short scene, really, all things considered, but like it's definitely like the highlight of the film in terms of that. Like that's the horror at its absolute peak. and it's one of my favourite horror scenes in recent memory. Actually, it's so good.
Yeah, it is. It is just top tier. Like, and it's just screaming in their ear, like but breathing, and it's like, will it get them? And then it takes like a full clip of rifle fire into the face to kill it, which is so good.
But I love also there's a reverse shot that's like completely like straight on, no angles in it, of like one of them like looking terrified. We look back on the bear and it's just staring straight to you at the camera, and we just see the human eye sort of like move a bit and like stare at you. It's the human eye, because there is this thing about like, because the human eyes are white with the colour bit in the middle, so we can see more clearly where something's looking. Or animals don't really have that in the same way. So there's something inherently freaking about seeing it, knowing it is looking at you, and like it's that one human eye staring out in terror. Because that's the other thing as well. Like talking about you were saying earlier, like the great thing about the Shimmer is it's not evil. There's no intent behind it. It just is. It just exists.
Yeah,
and things exist inside it.
I love that as well. Like,
yeah, and again, it adds to that threat. It's somehow even more scary. But with the bear as well, because it's the bear's not. Only attacks them out of defense, really, or desperation for food. Yeah, and it doesn't. It seems like it's hurt. It's in pain. It doesn't seem like it really wants to attack them. It's just investigating, really. And I think there's something about, I think that panic gets portrayed through that eye really well. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into that. Yeah, but yeah. I just love that scene. It's the best scene.
Yeah, that's a really, really good bit. Like, that's just such strong imagery. But yeah, like, I think we should, like, that is really important. Like, that is cosmic horror to a T.
Yeah.
That, the alien, or the Shimmer itself, this whole thing isn't evil. It just is. And I love that so much more than, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it is just they're evil people trying to kill people. But the Shimmer just exists, and it's just so much more terrifying because it doesn't want anything. Like, in the way the film is, like, it's the scientist, after Lena gets out, presumably the scientist asking her account of what happened. So she's telling them, and right at the end, like, she's finishing her account, and they're like, "Okay, but what did it want?" And she's like, "It didn't want anything. It just exists." And it's like, that's more terrifying than anything, because how do you stop something that doesn't want anything? It's just growing.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to appease it or stop it. It just is and will always be, and there's nothing we can do except just try and avoid it as it takes over our world.
And I love that, because that is more scary than a spooky man with a chainsaw,
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing before we finish up, because it's probably gone on for ages, but going back to what I was saying at the beginning of The Glass, because now we're on spoiler corner and I can talk about it. But, so, one of the reasons that shot is one of my favourite shots in the thing is because, the whole thing is about, so the Shimmer is basically like, it just diffracts DNA in the same way like a block of glass would diffract light and scatter it.
Yeah.
The Shimmer just diffracts DNA.
I knew. As soon as that it had a close up on the glass, I was like, that is important.
Yep, exactly. And this is
time.
This is visual storytelling. I love how because there's this theory about, like, the first shot of a film should, like, summarize the film basically. And obviously it's not the first shot, but it's an early shot, and that one shot perfectly exemplifies it. We see, like, his finger, and actually I think we see his whole body at one point, like, just diffracted in the glass and distorted.
Well, we see Lena and Oscar Isaac holding hands through the glass, and I was like, oh, that is going to be important.
And then again, like, the drop of blood, and we just see the one drop of blood then slowly spread and deteriorate and decay into chaos, through entropy. And, great shot. Great film.
Very, very
and
good.
And that's visual storytelling.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Top tier.
Yeah. So, next time on Andrew's Horror Education, we'll be doing Rec, probably. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, which we said we were going to do this week, but...
Yeah, but I watched Annihilation.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did.
Okay, so next week, hopefully, if all things go to plan...
Hopefully.
And Nick doesn't pull an Andrew and just not watch the films...
No, because I keep my promises, Andrew.
we're going to introduce a new segment.
Yay!
Called Nick's Documentary Education, which is dreadful. We need better names for it.
We've got 3 whole segments which are just something education.
Which is just awful.
Please, anyone, if you've got suggestions for names.
Please. Where Nick says he hasn't seen very many documentaries. I've seen a lot of documentaries because I really like documentaries and I've watched a lot of them for uni. So
Yeah.
I'm going to show Nick a load of very important and influential documentaries to broaden his horizons as he has been doing for me. So hopefully next week we're going to watch Touching the Void.
I'm very interested to see it, yeah.
Which is a very, very good documentary, and I hope you enjoy it. And then we can talk all about Bill Nichols' modes of documentary again.
Yay!
Mostly because there's a really, really interesting sequence in Touching the Void that we have to talk about. And I just want to see what you think about it.
Okay, well, I'll be looking forward to it. I hope you will be at home. And if you'd like to watch along and comment your reviews, you know the email.
Oh, fuck no. Okay.
Right, I think we should better end it there. You've been listening to the Ciné Rambles podcast with Nick.
And Andrew.
You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CinéRamblesOfficial, and you can follow us on Twitter at Ciné Rambles. And for more content, you can find the blog over at cinerambles.blogspot.com. And the Star Wars Ranked Retrospective will continue at some point. I'm still writing part 3. It's probably going to be quite long. So, Andy, have you got any final remarks?
Bilbo Baggins, famous star of Alien.
See you next week.
Goodbye.